This is the Scuba Educational Alliance Ocean Podcast, Episode 16. The Scuba Educational Alliance Ocean Podcast is a bi-weekly podcast dedicated to the world of scuba diving, ocean health, sustainability, and fostering a new generation of ocean stewards through diving education. Hello again, everyone. And I want to thank you for tuning into the podcast. I'm Jeff Centropino, your host and founder and president of the Scuba Educational Alliance of Connecticut, dedicated to fostering a new generation of ocean stewards through scuba diving education and training. Well, it has been a busy couple of weeks as we work with our scholarship winners and getting them set up with local dive shops to get their training scheduled. It's very rewarding to see these young men and women excited about either getting into scuba diving or extending their training. And we're also helping them pursue their career opportunities. We can't do a lot, but what we do does have an impact. Last week, I participated with the authors from William Klein's Scuba Diving Industry magazine in the monthly Level Up podcast, where I had a chance to talk about my latest article for dive shop owners on point-of-sale systems. It's always fun to get together with the panel. Now, on today's show, my feature segment is going to talk about my observations of the assault that is currently happening on our environment from climate change to ocean health. But first, let's get some news and information updates with Sea State. This is Sea State here on the Scuba Educational Alliance Ocean Podcast for Thursday, April 17th, 2025. Let's start off today with some pretty big news coming out of the dive industry. I first saw this reported on DiveNet by Steve Weinman on April 2nd, and that is that Head Group, that's the U.S. Austrian-based group that includes Mares, Revo, and SSI, along with other sporting good brands, and it looks like they're set to buy Aqualung. Whoa, yet another change for this storied dive equipment manufacturer. Aqualung subsequently confirmed that it is in exclusive discussions to sell 100% of the Aqualung group to Head. The last 9 years have been very difficult for Aqualung, with the sale to Montag and Barings in 2016, and then the takeover by Barings a couple of years ago. Aqualung has had significant cash flow problems that have made it difficult for them to pay their suppliers, and it has disrupted deliveries to retailers, don't I know? So much changed. They closed their California operations, shed U.S. divers, and closed the Technosub facility. And now more change. I don't know how this will all fit into the overall mix with Head, but it does look like they'll be getting Apex. Also, looks like there's a new CEO of Aqualung, Victor Vadnel, who will oversee the transition and integration. Wow, tough times indeed at Aqualung. Now, every year the Shark Trust, based in the UK, holds a photo competition. This year, the Shark Trust Photo Competition 2025 officially opened on April 3rd, with the deadline for submissions by May 15th, 2025. So you have just about a month to get your entry into the contest. Now, you can check out all the details on their website, and you could submit up to 4 images. The winners will have their photos printed and displayed at the Ocean Studios in Plymouth, UK for all of Shark Month, which is July 2025. Didn't know there was a Shark Month. There are trophies, certificates, and prizes for the variety of images. The Shark Photography Champion Prize is a dive and stay package for 2 in Nassau, Bahamas, with 3 nights at Breezes and 1 day of diving with Stuart Cove's Dive Bahamas. There are other prizes as well, like Mares dive computers. Then the public gets to weigh in by voting from the displays at Ocean Studios. Again, you can check out all the details from their website at www.sharktrust.org/photocomp25. You can check out your archives of shark photos and join in on the competition. I always find interesting information coming out of the Oceana newsletter. The last one that I got had a link to a couple of documentaries that included Oceana. There was We Are All Plastic People, and the other one is Single Use Planet. Now, I had a chance to watch the PBS documentary Single Use Planet by streaming the 57-minute film. Eye-opening. We all are aware of the devastating effects of plastic pollution. But in this documentary, produced and directed by Steve Cowan under the Bullfrog film banner of Habitat Media, really focuses on why this is difficult to solve: money and politics. Single Use Planet outlines 2 case studies related to the development of petrochemical plants in both Pennsylvania and Louisiana. To be fair, we cannot get away from the convenience of plastic, but the question remains about how we can keep the benefits while protecting ourselves and the environment from the negative impacts. Bottom line is the U.S. uses more single-use plastic per person than any other country, and given our current political environment, bills like the Break Free from Plastic bill has little chance of moving forward, in my opinion. Remember the plastic straw ban executive order? Now I encourage you to invest some time in watching Single Use Planet at pbs.org/video/single-use-plastic. Now, the History of Diving Museum out of Islamorada offers free monthly presentations that they call Immerse Yourself. Normally, you can sign up for the next event on their website and then zoom into the presentation. These presentations are on the third Wednesday of every month, and the next one is on May 21st, when Dan Orr will be doing a presentation on the mistakes divers make. He and his wife Betty are also the authors of 101 Tips for Recreational Divers, published by Best Publishing Company. They are also going to be opening a brand new exhibit at the History of Diving Museum, celebrating their 20th anniversary. Now, the mission of the History of Diving Museum is to share the quest to explore under the sea. They do record the Immerse Yourself presentations, and you can watch them at your convenience on their YouTube channel. But if you want to tune in live, the next Immerse Yourself is on May 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can check it out. And I'm certainly going to go over to the History of Diving Museum when I'm down there in late May. I came across an article on Scuba Diving Magazine online, authored by Beth Aglieri. The article was published on April 6th. The headline: The Black Sea Turtle's Great Comeback. Well, at first I thought the turtle was in the Black Sea, but quickly realized it was the color of the turtle, not the location. The subtitle reads, The Thriving Black Sea Turtle Population of Michoacan, Mexico is a Conservation Success. The Michoacan coast is in western Mexico and a prime nesting place for the black sea turtles, which is a subspecies of the green sea turtle. They were once on the verge of extinction. Back in 1988, they estimated that there were only 78 nesting females. Today, remarkably, the estimate is now that there are about 32,000 nesting females, 32,000, with over 100,000 protected nests. There is a key word here: protected. Egg poaching and overfishing were the 2 main reasons for the dire situation. Back in the 1970s, the report is that they sometimes took up to 70,000 eggs from the beaches of Mexico, and that was like in a single day. Just not sustainable. Now, thanks to funding from U.S.-based conservation nonprofit Sea Turtle, SEE Turtles, work protecting the nests at Koloha Beach, one of the most important nesting beaches for black sea turtles, has proven critical to the success of this conservation effort. That is just fantastic news. Now, living and working under the sea has long been something scientists have hoped to achieve, and It has been a significant challenge, obviously. There is a company out of the UK called Deep, DEEP, that is working on this challenge to support a brave new world of subsea research. While there are ROVs, AUVs, and submersible, they see the need for habitat diving and living underwater to conduct the next generation of habitat research. Their programs include Vanguard, a small 3-person short mission underwater habitat for training, reconnaissance, and recovery that they are now testing for deployment this year. And then there's the big one, Sentinel. This one is geared for 28-day missions operating at a depth up to 200 meters. Their renderings look really impressive. So from Conshelf 1 and 2 to Seablab 1, 2, and 3 to Tektite to Aquarius Reef Base, the quest for living and working under the sea continues with Deep. Take a peek at deep.com. You'll be impressed. Well, that wraps up this installment of Sea State here on the Scuba Educational Alliance Ocean Podcast. Last year, I picked up a book by Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson titled, What If We Get It Right? This is a book about optimism and visions of a climate future that is bright, and her hope is that it is realistic. The book came out in September 2024. I didn't finish the book until after the November presidential election. And, well, the optimism for a bright climate future seems dark. We just didn't know how dark. In the first episode of the Scuba Educational Alliance Ocean Podcast, my feature segment was on a Supreme Court ruling that many felt were detrimental to combating climate change and ultimately ocean health. It was known as Chevron deference and essentially took away power of regulatory agencies to interpret any ambiguity in the law. It stripped the experts from applying science and put the decision in the hands of judges. Fast forward to April 2025, and we are seeing a whole new assault on the environment. By episode 11, early February 2025, I talked about our withdrawal from the Paris Agreement and focused on 3 executive orders, putting America first in international environmental agreements, revocation of the International Climate Finance Plan, and the elimination of EV mandates. In the very next episode, I wanted to discuss the national plastic strategy in the context of where we were headed. It did not seem to be in a good direction, as we had just had another executive order titled Ending Procurement and Forced Use of Plastic Straws. You know, the straws that somehow explode and wouldn't really bother sharks munching on them. But wait, there's more. But before I talk about some of the most recent orders and memorandums, I want to talk about a couple of other books that I recently completed that make me really troubled and concerned about the future of our oceans, and for that matter, the entire planet. Let's start with one that has an optimistic view, written by Deborah Rowan Wright, Future Seas, How to Protect the World's Oceans. Now, the book came out in 2020, and she outlines her thoughts on how the world could protect and heal the oceans. Deborah recognized the need for governments to be leaders who look out for and are stewards of the planet, not abusers and profit takers. Do you think we have that kind of leadership in government currently here in the U.S.? Let's come back to that. The second book that I want to talk about is The Parrot and the Igloo, Climate and the Science of Denial by David Lipsky. Now, his book came out in 2023, and I got to tell you, it made me angry. Angry that denying facts by undermining the science behind the facts torpedoes reality. And it all comes down to profit, and by investing in so-called scientists to refute facts or sow seeds of doubt with those in government and in the public. These doubts always call for more studies that never get completed and then misinterpret data that gets funneled across all channels that become an alternate reality. It started with the tobacco industry denying the devastating health impacts from smoking, and then denying the damage caused by secondhand smoke. And it is in full throat with the fossil fuel industry, refuting and denying that climate change is real, and that the Earth is not baking as a result of the greenhouse gas emissions, primarily from fossil fuel. So why do I think we have an ocean crisis on our hands? I've always viewed the United States as a linchpin in the success of international agreements. There are a number of reasons why we are key, but one of the most important aspects is that the United States cared. Now, I might be naive in that way of thinking. Well, now I believe the United States is no longer committed to achieving global goals when it comes to the environment and sustainability. The most recent set of executive orders solidifies my thinking. On April 8th, President Trump signed Executive Order 14261 titled Reinvigorating America's Beautiful Clean Coal Industry and amending Executive Order 14241, Immediate Measures to Increase America's Mineral Production. So coal is now a mineral under that executive order, and it lifts the barriers of coal mining on federal lands, plus exports coal and coal technology along with accelerating coal technology. Wow. Beautiful, clean coal spewing tons and tons of toxins into the atmosphere. Beautiful, clean coal. Is that what kids are going to ask for in their Christmas stocking? But we're not done yet. On April 9th, among all the other executive orders on tariffs and investigations into past administration officials and the fixation on showerheads, was another executive order that has serious impacts on the ocean, EO 14270. Or EO 14270, yes. Zero-based regulatory budgeting to unleash American energy. This one lists almost every critical act related to the environment and critical legislation to protect the oceans, and orders that conditional sunset dates be set on various regulations. And oh, by the way, the agency heads are supposed to coordinate with the DOGE team. And finally, on April 9th, the President issued a memorandum that directs the repeal of unlawful regulations. Now, this is a big one that I think is flying under the radar. This directs all agencies to begin the process of repealing regulations that they feel are facially illegal. Not facially illegal, not illegal, but they think they're illegal, and to dispense with notice and comment rulemaking when that process would be impractical, unnecessary, or contrary to the public interest. Oh my. So where does this leave us? From a federal level, the outlook for the environmental issues, combating climate change, and supporting sustainability of the oceans is very dim and bleak. Undoing regulations designed to protect clean air and water and control greenhouse gas emissions is not conducive to good stewardship and leadership. We are only 3 months into this assault. The legal battles will go on, but like in a war, the bombs cause destruction very quickly without discretion, while rebuilding takes a very long time as the rubble gets cleared away, the toll is tallied, and we start to rebuild. We are the United States of America. The key element is that states can take charge where they can and support climate change efforts as well as programs to protect the ocean. Yes, I would like to see our federal government act in a prudent and sustainable manner, but at least until the midterm elections, we are going to continue to see this all-out pummeling of our efforts to save the planet from the devastating effects of climate change and the destruction of the oceans. Well, we certainly live in a unique time in history when up is down, black is white, and right is wrong. One thing for sure, I'll continue to advocate for ocean health and sustainability, and hope that by creating a new generation of ocean stewards, facts will prevail over denial. Now that wraps up this episode of the Scuba Educational Alliance Ocean Podcast. Thanks for listening, and please consider subscribing so you don't miss an episode. Bye for now. This has been the Scuba Educational Alliance Ocean Podcast, a show dedicated to the world of scuba diving, ocean health, sustainability, and fostering a new generation of ocean stewards through diving education. Talk to you again real soon.